Okay, so this second part of the reading is going to start with the big box on the left side. So it says, "In the land we found were cyclopses, giants, louts, living without a law to bless them, in ignorance, leaving the fruitage of the earth in mystery to the immortal gods. They neither plow nor sow by hand, nor till the ground, though grain, wild wheat and barley, grow untended, and wild grapes in clusters ripen in heaven's rain. Cyclops have no muster and no meeting, no consultation or old tribal ways, but each one dwells in his own mountain cave, dealing out rough justice to wife and child, indifferent to what others do." Okay, so I'm going to read the whole rest of this page in one reading. So I'm going to talk about the Cyclops for a minute first. So this is the third stop after Troy. We had Ismaros, we had the Lotus Eater Island, and now we have basically two islands, a little island, and then the Cyclops Island. So this paragraph, which is why stanza, which is why I have it in a box, tells us about all we know about the Cyclopses. They are giants, okay? They are much bigger than a man. I like to say 3 men, so maybe 18 feet big, something like that. It says they live without a law to bless them. They don't plow the ground, right? They're not farmers. They don't till. They don't collect grapes. They have no muster and no meeting, no consultation. They deal out rough justice. So maybe it means they're a little bit violent. Now, our Cyclops that we're going to talk about and talk to, he lives alone. He's kind of a one-man guy there. So what I'm going to do is introduce how we get to the Cyclops Island and a little bit about the Cyclops. So follow me along. "Well then, across the wide bay from the mainland, there lies a deserted island, not far out, but still not close inshore. Wild goats in hundreds breed there, and no human being comes upon the isle to startle them. No hunger of all who have ever tracked the hounds through the forest or had rough going over mountain trails. The isle, unplanted and untilled, a wilderness, pastures goats alone. And this is why good ships like ours, with cheek paint in the bows, are as far beyond the Cyclopses. No shipwrights toil among them, shaping and building up symmetrical trimmed hulls to cross the sea and visit all the seaboard towns, as men do who go and come to commerce over water. This isle, seagoing folk would have annexed it and built their homesteads on it. All good land, fertile for every crop in season, lush, well-watered mead along the shore, vines in profusion, prairie, clear for the plow, where grain would grow chin-high by harvest time, and rich subsoil. The island cove is landlocked, so you need no hawsers out astern, bowsterns, or mooring. Run in and ride there till the days your crews chafe to be under sail, and a fair wind blows. You'll find good water flowing from a cavern through the dusty poplars into the upper bay. Here we made our harbor. Some god guided us that night, for we could barely see our bows in the dense fog around us, and no moonlight filtered through the overcast. No lookout. Nobody saw this island dead ahead, nor even the great landward rolling billow that took us in. We found ourselves in shallows, keels grazing ashore, so furled our sails and disembarked where the low ripples broke. There on the beach we lay and slept till morning." Okay, so not any dialogue in here. This is really just a setup for what we're going to have next. Basically we're talking about this, I always call it the side island. It's this little island that is off the coast of where the Cyclops lives. Nobody's on this island. And it makes a very big point of saying that the Cyclops don't go out on ships. They would never come across to this island. And the fact that there are plenty of animals to feast and eat, and everything on this island is perfect. Basically setting it up so that we wonder and question why Odysseus felt the need for he and his men to cross over from this island to where the Cyclops lives, basically. We know that one of Odysseus's tragic flaws is his curiosity. So we'll get into that in this chapter too. But know that if I were to ask you where we are on a little island off to the side of where the Cyclops live. And we'll be talking about them in a second. Okay, So let's see, follow over on 149 at the bottom now. And I'm going to turn the page. Okay, when dawn spread out her fingertips of rose, we turned out marveling to tour the isle, while Zeus's shy nymph daughter flushed wild goats down from the heights, a breakfast for my men. We ran to fetch our hunting bows and long-shanked lances from the ships, and in 3 companies we took our shots. Heaven gave us game aplenty. For every one of 12 ships in my squadron, 9 goat fell to be shared. My lot was 10. So there all day, when the sun went down, we made our feast on meat galore, and wine from the ships, for our supply held out. So many jars were filled at Ismaros from stores of the Cacones that we plundered. We gazed, too, at Cyclops Island, so near. We saw their smoke, heard bleating from their flocks. But after sundown, in the gathering dust, we slept again, above the wash of ripples. When the young dawn with fingertips of rose came in the east, I called my men together and made a speech to them. Old shipmates, friends, the rest of you stand by. I'll make the crossing in my own ship with my own company and find out what that mainland natives are. For they may be wild savages and lawless, or hospitable and God-fearing men. At this I went aboard and gave the word to cast off by the stern. My oarsmen followed, filing in to their benches by the rowlocks, and all in line dipped oars in the gray sea. As we rowed on and nearer to the mainland, at one end of the bay we saw a cavern yawning above the water, screened with laurel, and many rams and goats about the place inside a sheepfold, made from slabs of stone, earth fast between tall trunks of pine and rugged, towering oak trees. A prodigious man slept in this cave alone, and took his flock to graze afield, remote from all companions, knowing none but savage ways. A brute so huge he seemed no man at all of those who eat good wheaten bread, but he seemed rather a shaggy mountain, reared in solitude. We beached there, and I told the crew to stand by and keep watch over the ship. As for myself, I took my 12 best fighters and went ahead. I had a goatskin full of sweet liquor that Euphanes' son Mauron gave me. He kept Apollo's holy grove at Ismaros. For kindness we showed him there, and showed his wife and child. He gave me 7 shining golden talents perfectly formed, a solid silver wine bowl, and then this liquor, 12 two-handled jars of brandy, pure and fiery. Not a slave in Marin's household knew this drink. Only he, his wife, and the storeroom mistress knew. And they would put 1 cupful, ruby-colored, honey-smooth, in 20 or more water. But still the sweet scent hovered like a fume over the wine bowl. No man turned away when cups of this came round. A wineskin full I brought along, and victuals in a bag. For my bones I knew some towering brute would be upon us soon. All outward power a wild man, ignorant of civility. We climbed then briskly to the cave. But Cyclops had gone afield to pasture his fat sheep. So we looked around at everything inside, a drying rack that sagged with cheeses, pens crowded with lambs and kids, each in its class. Firstlings apart from middlings, and the dewdrops, or newborn lambkins, penned apart from both. And vessels full of whey were brimming there, bowls of earthenware and pails for milking. My men came pressing round me, pleading, "Why not take these cheeses, get them stowed, come back, throw open all the pens, and make a run for it? We'll drive the kids and lambs aboard. We'll say put out again on good salt water." Ah, how sound that was! Yet I refused. I wished to see the caveman, what he had to offer. No pretty sight it turned out for my friends. Okay, so this is the last page that I'm going to explain. What we have here is, on the left side, we have Odysseus before he crosses onto Cyclops Island, giving his men a speech, right? A little pep talk. He's curious, right? He's like, listen, I want to go and see what's happening. I'm not going to cause us all to travel over there. I'll just take one ship and I'll take some men and I'll go. And I think I'm going to see a Cyclops over there, a lonely Cyclops, a single Cyclops. Notice that Homer, that is, spends an entire stanza on this fiery, pure liquor. He calls it a brandy. Like the little prickles on the back of your neck should stand up. Like, why? What's going on? You should be wondering, why the heck are we talking about this for so long? That's a sign. So clearly, that's a little bit of foreshadowing here. Sorry. That this liquor, this wine, this strong brandy is going to come in handy later down the line. Okay, and then, so if you're looking at 151, the yellow, it talks about what Odysseus brought with him. They went over to the second island, and they began to go into this cave. Now the Cyclops, they notice, is not home. But what he has in his giant cave is sheep. So he has little ones and mid ones and baby ones and big ones, and they're all in their pens, and they notice he's making different kinds of cheeses, and he has different kinds of milk. And Odysseus's men say, listen, let's just take these provisions, right? We got lucky. We got cheese, we got goats, we got milk. We can go. We can fill up our ships and go. And notice the last 4 lines of this page. Odysseus says, no way. I'm too curious. I want to see. I want to talk to this man. I want to get to know him. And sadly, though, it says, no pretty sight it turned out for my friend. So make some assumptions here. What do you think Homer's trying to tell us? What is going to be happening in these next few pages? Okay, so your assignment today, and I'll type it out, is to read the next few pages of this and take notes and try and understand, try and follow what's happening. And I think you can do it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this little recording, and I hope it was useful to you. Okay, have a good night.